Hey guys, tonight we leave behind sparkling bottles of filtered water, humming refrigerators, and the comforting certainty that almost every faucet in your home delivers clean, drinking water with the simple twist of a handle. Instead, you find yourself standing in a quiet medieval village just before sunrise, where cool mist drifts over damp fields and the smell of wood. Smoke hangs gently in the morning air. A rooster proudly declares himself responsible for the arrival of dawn, while somewhere nearby, a baker is already tending his oven and a brewer is checking wooden barrels that have quietly fermented through the night. Oddly enough, if you're feeling thirsty this morning, you might not reach for water first. You probably won't survive this, mostly because asking for an ice-cold bottle of mineral water would earn you several very confused looks. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're here, let me know your location and your local time in the comments. It's always fascinating to see listeners joining from every corner of the world. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The village slowly awakens around you. Thin curls of smoke rise from thatched cottages as families stir glowing embers back into lively fires. Chickens scratch through damp soil searching for breakfast, while sheep graze quietly beyond low stone walls. The morning feels peaceful enough that you almost forget one small detail. You're thirsty. Naturally, your eyes wander toward a nearby stream. The water sparkles beautifully beneath the pale morning sun. It looks clean and sounds refreshing. Tiny ripples dance over smooth stones, while willow branches gently sway overhead. It practically advertises itself, yet nobody rushes toward it carrying cups. Instead, several villagers walk past the stream without giving it much attention. One woman heads toward a communal well carrying 2 wooden buckets balanced across her shoulders. A cooper rolls freshly made barrels toward the brewhouse. A farmer takes a sip from a small leather flask before returning to his oxen. Curiously, the faint smell drifting from his flask isn't water. It's ale. This surprises modern visitors almost every time. For generations, many people have repeated the popular idea that medieval Europeans drank beer because water was completely unsafe. The real story, however, is a little more complicated and far more interesting. Historians generally agree that medieval communities certainly valued clean water whenever they could find reliable sources. Springs, carefully maintained wells, and protected streams often supplied villages and towns with drinking water. People absolutely drank water, but they were also well aware that not every source remained clean. A stagnant pond, a river flowing through a crowded town. Those could present obvious problems even without understanding bacteria or microscopic organisms. You kneel beside the village stream anyway. It feels wonderfully cool against your fingertips. Dragonflies hover above the reeds, while a trout briefly flashes beneath the surface before disappearing again. The scene feels almost impossibly peaceful. Then a shepherd casually guides his flock across the shallow water a little farther upstream. Your enthusiasm fades ever so slightly. Nobody here has studied germ theory. No one has heard of Louis Pasteur, yet centuries of observation teach practical lessons. If certain water sources regularly make people sick, wise families quietly learn to avoid them. Experience becomes its own teacher. Scholars still argue whether medieval people fully connected contaminated water with illness or simply relied upon practical tradition. But few doubt that communities recognized which wells and springs earned trustworthy reputations. Nearby, the village well becomes the center of early morning conversation. Women laugh softly while lowering wooden buckets into the cool darkness below. Children chase each other around the stone wellhead until one mother firmly reminds them that accidentally falling inside would ruin everyone's day. An impressive understatement. Fresh water remains precious. Village leaders sometimes establish rules protecting wells from pollution. Some towns even appoint officials responsible for maintaining important water supplies. Clean water matters enormously. It simply isn't available everywhere equally. As you continue wandering, another pleasant smell begins drifting through the cool morning air. Warm grain, fresh bread, sweet malt. You follow the aroma until a sturdy timber building comes into view. The village brewhouse. Outside, sacks of barley lean against the wall beside stacks of firewood. Several enormous wooden barrels wait beneath a covered shelter, while steam escapes gently through open roof vents. Inside, everything feels warm. Copper kettles simmer. Wooden paddles stir thick grain mixtures. Workers move carefully between steaming vats with practiced confidence. One brewer scoops a handful of damp barley into your palm. The grains feel surprisingly soft, Before becoming beer, barley must first become malt. The process begins by soaking grain until it sprouts ever so slightly. Then it is carefully dried. Those tiny sprouts unlock natural sugars that later feed fermentation, a remarkably clever process discovered centuries before anyone truly understood the underlying chemistry. Sometimes history figures things out long before science explains why they work. The brewer smiles proudly as he stirs another batch. This ale isn't especially strong. In fact, much of it contains relatively low alcohol compared with many modern beers. People often call it small beer. It accompanies meals. It refreshes workers. It becomes an everyday drink rather than an evening indulgence. Oddly enough, even children in some communities might consume diluted or very weak ale alongside adults, especially when ordinary table beverages varied from season to season. Before anyone panics, it's worth remembering that medieval brewing practices, alcohol strengths, and customs differed enormously depending upon region, household, and historical period. History rarely fits neatly into internet memes. A cat lazily wanders through the brew house searching for mice, hiding among grain sacks. Nobody seems particularly concerned. Frankly, the cat appears convinced it supervises the entire brewing operation. Every workplace has that one coworker. Outside again, sunlight climbs higher into the bright blue sky. Farmers shoulder tools, merchants open market stalls. Church bells echo gently across surrounding fields. Life continues at an unhurried pace. You notice something comforting about this world. Nobody rushes with disposable coffee cups, balanced in one hand while answering emails with the other. Instead, every drink tells a story. Water speaks of springs, wells, and careful maintenance. Ale speaks of harvests, grain, patience, and skilled brewing. Both belong to everyday life. Neither completely replaces the other. As your quiet morning walk continues, you lift a simple wooden mug filled with fresh small beer. Its flavor surprises you. Mild, nutty, slightly sweet, not nearly as powerful as many modern beers. Perhaps that's the biggest lesson waiting at the beginning of this journey. The medieval world is rarely as simple as the myths suggest. Tomorrow's stories grow from today's first sip. And somewhere beyond the village, monasteries, castles, vineyards, bustling taverns, and famous breweries quietly await your arrival. Word count 187.